Are you making sense of this market? I mean, come on, man. Nothing's happening. The ranges are getting tighter and tighter. We've even got Mutiny on the Bounty. You remember that film? Yeah, I remember that film. The Mutiny on the Bounty that I'm making reference to is they're trying to get rid of the tariff story. The Senate really wants to do it, and Trump is going to start signing the veto. He's going to put it out there, and it's going to rock the markets. I mean, you've got a lot of speculation about what Trump is actually trying to do in terms of the valuation of gold, as to why gold's going up. What's he doing with the bonds market? What's going to happen to crypto? You've got Tether minting nearly $2 billion worth of USDT within 15 minutes. It's all looking favorable for crypto. Is tonight going to be about a breakout to the upside or to the downside? That's what I'm going to talk about tonight. And I'm not late. I've been here from the start. I had some guy talking about violating him. I am not bullish. I am not bearish. So just please get it in your minds, man. I favor movement. I don't care if Bitcoin goes down. If I can make money on it, cool. If it goes up and make money on it, cool. And when you detach yourself from the idea of bias, then you can be like, hold on, it's not going up. Let me get out of it, man. Let's change direction. Awesome. Make some money that way. When you're attached to an idea that Bitcoin can only go up, well, it's going to smack you about before it can actually do that. And that's what we're going to dive into this evening. So, welcome. You're bearish on Canada. That's a bit, bro, that is rough. Canada is cooked. Oh, my God. Southern Finland, what's good? Houdini, man. The Taco Tuesday. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's just get with the program, man. Let's try and break this all down. So, S&P is set for a good time. I think this move higher is just the build up towards what could be a very eventful earnings from Microsoft and Meta. See, Google have already done pretty well, okay? But Microsoft and Meta are going to be putting things into perspective. Let's go and have a look at their fundamentals just for 2 minutes, just to put things into perspective on where they are right now and what we could expect from them going into the earnings call. So let's have a look at Meta first. So Meta Platforms right now on average trades 18,783 shares per day. That is a very, very liquid stock. Worth adding to your portfolio when it corrects. Why? Because there is continuous institutional support with it. Of course, if the narrative changes and everything's going down and investors don't have a clue where everything's going, naturally, this stock will end up becoming a discount. Draw your attention to the bottom. You can see you've got the quarterly earnings for Meta. Let's go to the last three. June 30th, 2024, earnings 60% and sales was 22%. Next quarter, earnings was 37% and sales was 19%. And then the final quarter of 2024, we've got earnings 50% and sales 21%. It's fluctuating. It's not accelerating. Now, when you actually look at it, you can see that there is no acceleration between the earnings or the sales. What you want to see is acceleration over 3 quarters, courtesy of William J. O'Neill. Those of you who know will know what I'm talking about. What are they expecting? Well, they could be getting ready for some good news, hopefully, because if it isn't good news in Meta, we've got a massive problem. Now, Meta just recently announced the Meta app, AI app. So it's something with voice recognition of something, but I'd probably want to check that out just in case. Anyways, so Microsoft, let's go and have a look at Microsoft and see where that bad boy is. Let's quickly dive into it. This is all going to help you understand whether or not Bitcoin's going to go up or down. So it's important that we understand it. So in front of you, volume is low, below average, should I say. Microsoft, same thing, and Meta do have low volume distribution over the last few sessions. Average daily volume is 25 million shares, very heavy liquid stock. Looking at the sales and the earnings, consistent. Their earnings are 10%, 10%, 10% over the last 3 quarters. Sales was 15%, 16%, 12%. Now, the reason why there could be a fluctuation in the sales is because when Microsoft starts going into cloud servicing and what have you, and cloud storage, then there's going to be demand or not demand, depending on the client that's actually going into the service as such. They might use it for a certain period of time, but I don't know too much about what kind of services they offer specifically in terms of duration of the cloud servicing. But between Google and Microsoft, they do focus a lot on the cloud-based services, and that's where they're going to generate that awesome revenue that they are seeking all the time. So if the volume is low on this, it means investors are waiting to see what happens with their earnings. Now, their earnings are going to be coming out tomorrow. So Wednesday, the 30th of April, we have got Microsoft in the evening and then Meta in the evening. Whatever's going to happen tomorrow is this. The stock market is going to give you the idea as to whether or not they think that the earnings are going to be good. Articles are going to be released suggesting that, yeah, Microsoft's going to do well, Meta's going to do well. That's going to get priced in straight away. Earnings comes out, wherever NASDAQ is, it will drop and then reverse if the news is good. You go back to when when Nvidia were doing their earnings, it was Microsoft. When Microsoft did their last earnings call, NASDAQ just continuously moved up and up. It did not stop. Then the second the earnings call came out, slumped, NASDAQ dropped aggressively, and then they just sent it all the way back up in the Asian session. So I would strongly recommend that you just sit tight for tomorrow's market close to see exactly where investors' heads are at with regards to Microsoft and, of course, Meta. Now, this is what I'm talking about here. White House threatens to veto Senate resolution terminating Liberation Day Trump tariffs. If they do that, it would then be it will be a threat to national security if they do cut the tariffs. Do you understand? We have had the Fed holding on to a tether. And the idea of that is if they don't stick to their 2% mandated target of inflation, and they then say we're going to cut the interest rates because we're not going to get any close to that 2% inflation target, that undermines the Fed, and that undermines foreign investors. We're like, hold on a second, bro. You give us a projection of 2% inflation. You've been smacking the interest rates up. Yeah, we've been earning great yield holding your debt, but we can't really put any dollars to work because it's too expensive to borrow your dollar right now. That's why we're going over to the euro and to the yen. If they don't achieve the 2% inflation target, it will be an undermining thing for the Fed. Now you've got this with Trump. He's not exactly got the greatest start so far. His first 100 days are the worst since Gerald Ford. That is rough. It's not looking good. I think Trump's come with the idea that nations, yeah, they do want to do business, but maybe a deal with India is going to come into play. I mean, look, from an economic point of view, the only nation that needs to do the deal is China because it's the world's factory. If the world's factory is operating, what do you think oil's going to do? It's going to go up. That's how you stick it to them. But China could be in a good position right now. Keep the value of the oil down. And as long as it's low, it doesn't mean that it's costing any of these transportation companies around the world much money to move product. But if there's no product being moved, then there's no point in whatever price oil can end up. So we've got, it's a very interesting scenario. And if this comes into play and Trump has mutiny on the bounty, then he even said it himself, he will veto a Senate resolution aimed at ending his global tariffs. And it says here that he will buy, what did he say? Where was it? I just saw it. I just saw the statement. Where is the statement? Where are you? Hold on. I'll read it for you. Hold on. What's this? He's preparing talks with the US on new Russian sanctions. Bloody hell, man. It's sanctions after sanctions. Trump reiterates China and the EU rip the US off. We know that. China will probably eat those tariffs. He's really winding up China. I'm telling you now, he is winding up China. It's not looking good. Right, let's just get into some price action and help you understand why cryptocurrency could be making a move. So, Tether. 2 billion minted in 15 minutes. That is absolutely wild. Well, does it look like they're getting ready for a cash injection? What about price? Well, let's just go and have a look at Bitcoin for a split second. Today, it has been a hard day to say the least. I'm actually quite nervous. I'm actually not nervous. I'm never nervous. But when I come to the charts today, I wanted to do some scalping. I said, I'm going to treat myself to some scalping today, right? And I'm going to get to what I did today in a short second. But it was really, believe it or not, the stock market today was really kind in terms of movement. It behaved itself. Cryptocurrency was a violation. Euro was a violation. It was horrible. looking at it, I'm like, oh God. And that's why it's so important that you do give yourself the opportunity to have more than one asset behind you. Because if you're just stuck on crypto, you're going to see dead days like this. Now, it's been hard to project this. I gave the setups out today, and I was looking for Euro to make a move to the upside. And this is the Platinum membership, and these are the setups that I provide. So today, here are the examples of that, okay? So Euro, I wanted to see Euro make a move to the upside today, right? Like, come on. It hasn't even gone anywhere. Didn't do anything. Okay, it made a move up, but it's just done nothing. That's because they're preparing themselves. They're loading up on Euro. Gold. I wanted to see gold make a reversal from 3,313 to then go to 3,346 to even claim 3,379. Come down to our entry point, 3,313, very minimal drawdown. And then it made a move all the way up to 3,330. Really small move. The only thing that did it for me today was the NASDAQ. Check this out. Here are our entry points. 19,345, 19,401. The trade was only valid if it came down first. That's the breakdown. I said, wait for price to come down towards the previous vectors, vector a candle recovery, then reversal back up. Go over to NASDAQ, and we can see she did a nice little play today. She came all the way down to 19,380. Our entry was 19,345. Minimal drawdown on that trade. And the other entry was 19,345 and 19,322. Okay, very minimal drawdown. Saw the reversal all the way back up to 19,527 was the target. We ended up getting 19,692. Happy days. Now, I gave that projection, okay? But I scalped it. And I say to everyone, scalp in these environments because it's hard, okay? NASDAQ created a nice little stop in volume candle at the lows right there. Drop down to the 1 minute time frame. What do you see? What do you see? Brinks box creates a little W formation, makes the move up. When they consolidated sideways, I always say to them, always wait for the W formation. W formation, right there. NASDAQ does it all the time, like clockwork. It's just a basic thing every single time. Now, I was scalping this quite aggressively today, and it was 67 trades, okay? So you might not be able to see it clearly, but there it is. These are the trades. If you zoom in, you might be able to see the actual entry points as such, okay? But entries and exits, I was scalping both NASDAQ and the S&P at the same time. I don't do no trade copying on the accounts. This is my personal account right here. So we only made $2,911 today, but we were scalping frantically with small size. So I was trading 20 micros, and then on the NASDAQ, I was trading one standard lot sizes. So the minis, okay? Not the minis, yeah, the micros, sorry. No, just standard contracts, NQ, that's what I was trading. So I was bouncing between the two, using minis on the micros on the S&P and the minis on the NASDAQ. And the reason I use the minis on the NASDAQ, because NASDAQ moves aggressively and I can get a profit really quick. S&P is a little bit slow with its movement, okay? So it does take a little bit of time. Started with about 7 grand in the account, only made 3,000 today, but I'm very reluctant to put down size, which is why I've done so many trades today. 67 trades, and where is it? Yeah, and I don't even know how and why it's done this, but let me just move this. Has it got the... No, it hasn't even got it. Never mind. But yeah, nearly $3,000 after fees, about $3,000, just under $3,000 for the trading day. And all we did, and that's a live account, okay? All we did was trade these W's and W formations, vector candle recovery. NASDAQ does it like clockwork. But I said today that NASDAQ, it's looking like it's going to be a decent day. And it did do rotation on the VWAP. But the second it broke away from the VWAP, remember what we said earlier on in the live stream? VWAP, above price, comes down, buys again, shifts out. Go watch the live from this morning. Explain that exact concept, and that's the exact concept that I was scalping from today. 67 trades, yeah, it doesn't sound like it's a lot from a scalper's perspective, but when you're smacking that amount every single day, 50 to 60 trades, it does add up, and you can easily come out with like 2,000-3,000 trades at the end of the week. Absolutely mad. But yeah, it does fry your brain. That's one thing for sure. So enough of me. What about you guys? Where is Bitcoin going to end up, you say, Tino? So with this story right now with Treasury minting $1 billion USDT, well, twice, there are a couple of things that you can get from this. You can get the idea that more fresh liquidity is going to start coming into the marketplace. But where does it all go? Yeah, you think everyone's going to be just using USDT and then converting it all onto Bitcoin and what have you. But you've got to pay attention to trade DeFi Llama. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Okay, given that this website is not operating right now because I don't know why it's not operating. Oh, come on. This is an absolute joke. The whole point of what I'm trying to talk about right now is that, you know what? We're just going to go over here. DeFi Llama. Switch to this tab. Where is it? Still not done it. Where are you? Hold on. 3, 2, 1. There she is. What an absolute clown of a platform. Sorry, DeFi Llama, but that's just really screwed me up. Anyways, so you can see here that people that are staking, when liquidity starts to come in, fresh liquidity, for the better word, it does entice people to start getting involved in staking and doing the DeFi stuff, okay? We can see that we are coming away from these lows. And the more that this goes up, the more there's people transacting in DeFi, which is what we want to see, okay? It means people are locking liquidity. That means coins are then being taken on, being scarce, and you know what? Forget it. Just basically pay attention to this as it increases in value. Now that the actual Treasury itself is minting more liquidity, naturally it's going to be a great thing for Bitcoin. So where are we going with this cryptocurrency breakout? Well, everyone's talking about a breakout, aren't they? Bitcoin bullish signals strengthen as the dollar weakens. Fine. So what does that mean? Well, let's just take it all back. Stock market, news announcements, Meta, Microsoft, Trump, and your story about you're not going to let anybody stop your tariffs. At minimum, 10% is where it's going to be at. So what's the problem? Problem is we are going to get interest rate cuts because today's data was dead. Lower labor opportunities. But the JOLTS job openings is always going to be challenged because sometimes those readings can be flawed. But the true reading will be non-farm payrolls going into Friday. But the negative reading on the data itself fundamentally should have sent the euro higher. Did it? No. What did it do? It just traded negative. What else did well? The dollar. It did nothing. Hold on. It's not making sense. Tino, wait there. Let's just break it down. If the news is bad for the dollar, then it means the euro's going up. Okay, so what actually happened? Well, the dollar went down on the news announcement. What do you mean it went down? Yeah, it went down on the fact that the economy is not doing too good. That's great news, yeah? You want the economy to stop doing so well so that you can get a reduction in interest rates. US is still up there, 4.5%, right there at the top. So why didn't the euro go up? Why did the euro go sideways? This thing is not going to move unless we hear from Japan. Simple as. They've dismissed the JOLTS job openings. Traders have effectively come to the idea that, yeah, maybe the Fed is going to cut the rates. That's why the stock market today gave us a nice little bit of movement to the upside. Where we at? There you go. It moved up a little bit. One candle, 4-hour candle just pumped. That was it. It will probably come back down. The information was short term. We know that the Fed wants to cut the rates, but traders aren't giving that expectation. 92.3%. 4.25, 4.5% in the next meeting, which is in 7 days. So make sure you subscribe because that is our biggest live. We get to tune in with good old pal. If the data is negative for the US dollar right now and the economy is contracting, why hasn't the dollar gone up? Well, I said that they're waiting for the Bank of Japan. What's going on now is they're waiting for better news. But more so, everyone is now positioning themselves for a big move. If Trump's starting to struggle with these tariffs and he's not really getting anywhere with them, then maybe something could be discussed. maybe he might go a little bit easy on China. Look what he did for the automakers today. Has that seen any benefit? Well, the S&P should have been really moving up. It only managed to achieve a 0.63% gain for the day, but just tells you investors don't trust anything. The only thing that we can trust is investors' expectation of the future. So if the future looks like they're going to cut the interest rates, the dollar's going to be cheaper, but that's going to be in June. From now until then, we have a number of bits of information that can impact where assets are going to go. The expectation of value in the future is positive for the euro, for the yen. Now, if the yen does come out on Thursday and say that they are going to increase the interest rates, not in this meeting, but in the next, then the market's going to start positioning itself. That's why they're offering better rates right here, because they know that naturally investors are going to go over to the yen and to the euro. So the dollar's going to go down. Euro's going to go up. Yen's going to go up. And when they're consolidating like this, it means that they're getting ready for that information. When euro goes sideways, there's only a small period of time that they can sustain that before they then go to the next area of value. So the logic is euro's going to move up, yen's going to move up, cryptocurrency is going to explode. Why? Because, of course, the back of the dollar going down and the expectation that interest rates are going to be cut because of the poor data that's come out, it does pretty much tell us that tomorrow's data is probably going to be exactly the same thing. ADP non-farm is going to be showing a contraction of 114,000. Less work. Maybe we're going to get ourselves a surprise rate cut. You know, the day you actually witness the Fed cutting the rates or going against what they originally said before the meeting is had, you will see absolute madness in the charts. You won't be able to contain yourself. You really won't. It will be worse, not worse, but it will be so much, well, it depends on the scenario. But if the Fed were to cut at this meeting, when you're giving everyone the expectation that they're not going to cut, okay? You thought that the day when Trump said that buy US stock and the stock market pumped nearly 10%, you ain't seen nothing, man. That is a walk in the park. They will just go crazy. They really will. It will be absolutely chaos on that day. It could shoot up 15% and it can just rock back down again. It would be a freak event, which I don't think that they're going to be doing anything like that. But imagine if they did. But if the expectation is to cut rates, that means money's going to be accessible. That means Bitcoin is going to climb, okay? So my expectation of Bitcoin is as follows. You've got on the daily time frame Bitcoin nearly coming back into the vector candle recovery. You've had yourself effectively, whoops, there we go, let's go there. You've had yourself effectively nearly the full recovery of this range, but you've still got this little zone right here, okay? And that's the zone that hasn't been recovered yet. Now, because price action is still holding above the 5 and 13 EMA, which is this yellow line right here and the red line, the idea is that we expect Bitcoin to start working higher. Problem that I've got is we're not really seeing the commitment just yet because the offers are not showing themselves as aggressively as they would be. But at the same token, the bids aren't also coming into play either. So the market needs to go to where it can magnetize value in the sense where it can go towards and transact. From a market maker's perspective, liquidity provider perspective, dealer's perspective, do they need to delta neutral and all of that fun and games? And if I've blown your mind, never mind. Trading is not easy. You want to simplify it, you can just buy and sell, but it's finding the time and collating all that information about your asset, about the economy, about what's going on with the movement of money. You look at Bitcoin, you just focus on Bitcoin, you're missing the bigger picture. If someone tells you, are you bullish on Bitcoin? You ask them, where's the 10-year yields at? And they say, the what? The 10 years? Yeah, 10 years, Bitcoin's going to be £1 million. Oh, yeah, forget you, bro. We can't communicate because we are in an environment where we need to pay attention to that. When we've got low interest rates and we've got low inflation, don't need to care about the yields because we know they're going to be low anyway. And the expectation of investors is, well, no interest rates, low inflation. What have I got to be concerned about? Smack it into the stock market, man. Load up. Go and buy a stock that you just fancy because you just like the name of the stock. That was a time before COVID. We had that. So when you do actually come to the charts, guys, don't just focus on Bitcoin. Dive into your yields. Have a look at your bonds. Get into that. Pay attention to what big money's doing, because you're focusing on a $2 trillion market cap and thinking it's the be all and end all. And then you've got the NASDAQ, $25 trillion market cap. And ask yourself, which one would you pay attention to? And I know that guys are going to be like, yeah, but when you see the Bitcoin market cap, you know, it's not doing anything, money's not leaving or going. It could tell us that it's accumulation. Yeah, forget that, bruv. You know, that's why they call it the legacy markets, because it's been around long enough. And these cycles have happened all the time. Bitcoin hasn't experienced crazy events yet. Everyone's like, you've never been in a crypto bull run, Tina. Have you ever been in a proper bear market in the stock market? Let's see how Bitcoin stands with that. That's where the true test of Bitcoin is. Capiche? Anyways, any questions? Any questions? Is it Bitcoin? Is it? It could go to 70, the Bitcoin dominance. Tina, do you trade eggs? No, I eat them. You're right. Bitcoin, you're right. Bitcoin rallied to 125K areas by July. Why by July? What is it with time? That's what really bugs me. Because if you can say by July, it's not a stab at you. I'm just putting out the idea. Everyone says it. By 2027, Bitcoin is going to be $254,316.35. All right, forget the price projection. Where'd you get the time from? Because you can tell me it can go to that price point by that time. You know something. What happened to $589 XRP? I'm waiting. It's still not there. Tino, switch off your laptop and go to the Emirates Stadium. What? And witness Arsenal getting smacked by PSG? I don't know what the score is. I know they were losing 1-0. I predicted 125K Bitcoin in December, but I don't think so anymore. December or not, it doesn't matter. Tino, are we done with the Bank of Japan increasing percentage interest rates story till July? No, we're not, because whatever they talk about in the actual press conference itself is going to give investors the scope to decide whether they act now or later. You've got tariffs. We don't know what's going to happen with them. We just know Trump's talking breeze all the time about them. And that's why you're seeing the bonds being so volatile. They're up, they're down, and it's hard trading. Scalp. That's all you need to do. Scalping is the safest option when it comes to trading in these environments. And people are looking for positions. There are position traders having a nightmare with this, but they're really not, because they can just literally buy and sell. Well, not really sell, but they can buy lots and lots of assets, and it stays in a contained zone until they know where the trajectory is for assets across the board. JP Morgan thinks everything's going to go up. Quarterly earnings from these big caps are going to be coming out over the next couple of days. That could give you your rally. NASDAQ, 20K, Bitcoin, 100K. Happy days. That's where we are. Tino, do you think it's smart to scalp gold? Yes and no. You scalp gold when it starts trending. Okay. Right now, it's consolidating. It's not going anywhere. Have a look. Gold ain't doing anything because we have no information. So that means they're preparing for the next hedge. Okay. Where are we? Here we go. So we're preparing for the next hedge. Some news announcements could come out. We could get a storming non-farm payrolls and gold could slump to the downside. Then that would then put everything back to the square one on the labor market. Inflation possibility staying high. And of course, interest rates are going to stay high. XRP will overtake Bitcoin and gold. No, XRP, please don't have those profanities, please. Do not say anything like that ever again, that XRP will overtake Bitcoin and gold. That is embarrassing. Never will XRP overtake gold. Don't. No, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. I won't allow it. I'll get a petition signed to stop. I'll get XRP delisted. Solana price targets. When Solana ETF comes into play, my friend, then you're going to have yourself a very interesting story. Solana has been heavily accumulated with this ETF. And of course, once it does come into action, you are going to be seeing Solana coming back to XRP. Please don't embarrass me. Yeah, you're going to be seeing Solana coming into some very interesting price points. 200 easy could be on the cards. Is ADA a top 3? Oh, no. Anything else other than that? Right. How many of you are new? If you're not, never mind. If you are, like the stream. Get to tradersreality.com and download this PDF. Breaks it all down for you. What are you doing, bruv? Never mind. Yeah, there you go. that PDF right there. And if you want to become a member, platinum member, where you get these trade setups, go check them out, become a platinum member, and you'll get access to them 5 days a week, Monday through to Friday, where I do these sort of setups. Do they hit every single day? No, they don't. And that's me being straight with you. But I cover 6 asset classes: Euro, gold, NASDAQ, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. So yeah, I'm a pretty busy bee when it comes to projecting them. So I've got to pay attention to all of them, but they are all positively correlated to each other. All right. With that being said, have a good night. Hit the like button, and I will check in with you all for some more madness. And sell your XRP. Get rid of that dead asset. It's a waste of time. Don't even bother.